Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Welcome to the yearly event of Euler Hermes Women's Network, which today becomes Euler Hermes Neo. We are partnering for the first time with Financi'Elles, the Federation of Women Networks in Banking, Finance and Insurance. But first, I would like to give the floor to our CEO, Wilfried Rocha.
So, good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, great. So, welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this event here tonight. And I also would like to have a special thank to our guests, but I will have some more details later on. So, as you probably know, I've been a sponsor of the so-called Euler Hermes Women's Network since the very start, which is now more than 4 years ago. And I have indeed always strongly believed that diversity is key to any company success. And when talking about diversity, of course, gender diversity includes that. Women, as you know, make up half of our society, and they represent undoubtedly a tremendous amount of skills and talent. And any company that doesn't value these competences will therefore only be half as strong as it can be. And yet most companies are always facing today a scarcity of women in top management circles. Now, the obvious question, of course, is why is that? Now, one of the key reasons we all understand certainly finds its roots in our traditional educational and cultural biases that lead us to select and follow men while women tend to step back. So one of my key messages, and I have repeated that at virtually every meeting that we had of the Women's Network, is dare to raise your hands, dare to risk challenges, and definitely dare to risk stepping out of your comfort zone. At Euler Hermes, we do value gender diversity, and our recent engagement survey results underline that we thrive as a diverse and meritocratic working environment. Today, 25% of our workforce is female, and out of the total amount of employees that we hired in 2016, 55% were women. Now, this was not always the case. If we go back just in very recent history, in 2012, women occupied only 28% of all management positions in Euler Hermes. Today, we are at 37%. And we need to sustain this trend. Why? Well, very simply, because we truly believe that gender diversity adds value to any company. The difficulty we often face, of course, is that we need to develop our so-called talent pools. The day that our talent pools, we have 50% men and 50% women, that's the day we can really aim for true diversity, the day that we have as many female candidates as male candidates for any given position. So we must therefore accelerate our efforts on gender diversity and ensure that our talent pools allow us equality at all management levels. Now, this is of course not as easy as it may seem. Just look around you and you will easily agree that women are also in our company overrepresented in some functions. Traditionally, we have an overrepresentation of female at any level, including management level, on HR, legal, communication, and we have an underrepresentation of female at all levels, including management level, mostly in risk, commercial, and IT, if I just look at Euler Hermes. So to reach gender equality, we must therefore also foster cross-functional mobility and value the diversification of skill sets. And we all have our part to play to reach this goal. It is our responsibility as management to adequately identify our talents and to coach, mentor, and provide them with challenging opportunities. Challenging opportunities that would be allocated based on merit. That goes without saying. But it is also, and I insist on that, the responsibility of women to empower themselves. And this is also why initiatives like the Euler Hermes Women's Network is essential. So this evening, our newer chairman, I'm told that this is how you wanted to be called, so it's not a mistake on my side, be reassured. So this evening, our new chairman of the Euler Hermes Women Network, Jennifer, has great news to share with you. The revamping of our EH Women's Network into EH NEO. And NEO stands for Network for Equal Opportunities. Also, we are very proud to announce our membership to Financi'Elles, which is the leading federation for the promotion of gender diversity in finance and insurance. So let's hear more about NEO and Financi'Elles. Thank you very much, and Jennifer, over to you.
Thank you, Wilfried, for having accepted to introduce this meeting and for your attention to gender diversity. You have always supported the Women's Network, and it is thanks to you that it is what it is today. You may notice that the event is called Accelerate on Gender Diversity, and you may wonder why. The truth is, I wanted Wilfried to sign off on the event, so I thought nothing would be better than calling the event Accelerate. Then I realized it also really meant something, and it carried the perfect meaning for what we wanted to convey. 4 years ago, women within Euler Hermes gathered to create a women's network. Conscious of the benefits of gender diversity, they empowered themselves to create this network and allow women to develop and grow through mentoring programs, Speech Masters. But while the Women's Network is a success, and the initiative is lasting for over 4 years now, thanks to the dynamism of an increasing number of talented and dedicated women within the organization, offering development opportunities is not enough. We need to accelerate on gender diversity too. We need to raise awareness on its benefits. We need to onboard everyone, including men, including regions, into a cultural change, where gender diversity is the norm at every level within the organization. I'd like to share a few fact-based insights into the importance of fostering the development of women in companies, including in top management roles. McKinsey has dedicated many studies to the subject of gender diversity in the workplace, at both a macro and microeconomic level. On a macroeconomic level, women represent 50% of world population, but generate only 37% of world GDP. There are 655 million fewer women than men in the labor force. McKinsey estimates that if we closed the gap, there would be a $12 trillion boost in world GDP by 2025. I know every study can be challenged, but even if it is half true, it is striking that there is a clear link between gender equality and economic prosperity. At a company level, studies show that companies where women are really present in the top management tend to be more profitable. And inclusive meritocracy is about an environment where everyone can succeed, regardless of gender in particular. In its latest report, Diversity Matters, McKinsey examined metrics such as financial results and composition of top management and boards for over 350 public companies. The findings are clear. Companies in the top quartile for gender diversity are 15% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians. McKinsey is not alone. In a new report, Inclusion at the Top, Engagement in the Middle, the Korn Ferry Institute examined financial services firms and concluded that even a single female representative on the executive board made a dramatic difference to how engaged both male and female employees felt. Again, if it is half true, it is still striking that it fully justifies the strong commitment of our group, both at Allianz and at Euler Hermes levels, to nurture gender diversity. It is not easy, and it takes time and commitment. So where are we on this journey? At Allianz, women make up 52% of the workforce and 37% of managers globally. And Allianz is committed to building up a talent pool of women systematically at all executive levels. At Euler Hermes, under the leadership of Wilfried and the top management, we harness the power of diversities, be it gender, age, or ethnicity, to improve innovation and problem solving, and thus better serve our customers. And we try to share best practices across regions and among employees. Today at Euler Hermes, we are already much better than most companies worldwide. We have as many women as men in the organization. But while this is true globally, it is not yet true at each level of the organization, and especially at the senior and the top management level. Women represent 25% of grades 16 and above, and only 7% on grades 18 and above. The situation needs to be assessed in each area of the company. In finance and operations management team, women represent 44%, thanks to Clarisse and Ludovic's action on this topic. But despite the efforts of their management, RIC and MMCD traditionally remain men's worlds. Women represent 17% of the RIC management team and 21% in MMCD. Those inequalities are not specific to EH. This is true more or less everywhere. All political parties now have gender equality as one of their founding principles, but one can suspect that this is primarily to be elected, because once in place, the situation changes. If we look at governments, we see fewer women in the most important offices. So how to solve the issue? If we go back to the examples of governments, women are more often appointed to technical offices and are generally super qualified for the job. Our health minister is a doctor and has run a hospital. Our culture minister has run a publishing company. Yet, it is not uncommon to see men as economic ministers who have neither a PhD in economy nor ever run a company. So are we not sometimes shy to appoint women and offer opportunities of cross-functional mobility? We sometimes hear, I don't want to promote her just because she's a woman, which is fair. But how many times are we hearing, I don't want to promote him just because he's a man? Professional ambition of women is not the problem. We hear too many times it is. We need to acknowledge the fact that there is still, in most organizations, an unconscious bias associated with ambition in women. That's why, if we want to accelerate, we need everyone. Gender diversity is not a women's issue, it is everyone. It is men and women together. It is not a holding or a corporate issue, it is a global issue. I want to thank all the heads of regions which are here tonight. It is a great opportunity for us. We hope you can make it happen in your region. We need to engage everyone on the topic of gender diversity, and that's how we redesigned the mission of the Women's Network, that is now threefold: connect, inspire, and engage. We need to connect women together and to the rest of the organization and to other Allianz entities. At a time when customer centricity is key, we need women to connect to all of our customers, which are not all male. We need to inspire women by continuing to offer some development opportunities. We need to inspire men too, to take advantage of an environment where they have equal opportunities. And we need to engage everyone within the organization on the importance of gender diversity to make sure everyone is engaged for Euler Hermes. As we have seen, there is stronger engagement among male and female employees in organizations with gender diversity. That's why we have changed the name and the branding of the Women's Network, because we want to include men and we want them to join us and come to our events. We have decided to rename our network NEO, which stands both for Network for Equal Opportunities and for each of our 3 pillars. We also joined forces with other Alliance entities in France and organized our first cross-network event last June, thereby expanding considerably opportunities for networking and development. Finally, that's why we decided to join Financi'Elles, the Federation of Women Networks in Banking, Finance, and Insurance. You will hear more about Financi'Elles in a minute, but we are incredibly proud to become a member and join forces with all these wonderful networks across the industry. I'd like to thank Agnès, Delphine, Catherine, and Patricia from Financi'Elles for making this membership possible and for being here tonight. I want to say that being part of Financi'Elles will be an opportunity to show that Euler Hermes is committed to gender diversity. And I want to thank those within Euler Hermes who support the Women's Network and are our best promoters within the organization. Wilfried for being NEO's sponsor, for your stewardship, and for the time you dedicate to this. We all know that you pay special attention to gender diversity and want to see more women in senior and operational roles based on skills and experience. Clarisse for being our role model and showing us it is possible for a woman to make it to the top. Florence for being a role model too, and for the focus you have put on diversity within Euler Hermes. This is the ground of the anti-discrimination policy that you are enforcing throughout the group. Ludovic for being invested on all kinds of diversity topics. And Frederick, of course, for your continuous support and careful attention to gender equality and for promoting women long before the Women Network even existed. I'd also like to thank Madalena, Anne, Romina, Jeanne, Melanie, and all of NEO's steering committee for all the work you are putting into the network and making it live. Then I thought long and hard and realized I would of course not be able to convince you all. So I wondered who might. I picked 2 very popular figures, Emma Watson and Justin Trudeau. No gender stereotypes here, but hopefully both men and women shouldn't find either one of them attractive. You may wonder, what do they have in common? Well, they're both engaged in favor of gender diversity. They expressed in their own very meaningful terms that gender equality is not an issue for women only. All of us benefit when women have the same opportunities as men, and it's on all of us to make that a reality. I find Justin Trudeau's quote interesting because it is striking, and one could say even sexy, for a man today to call himself a feminist and say he will keep saying it until no one reacts. But of course, being a feminist is not a goal in itself. That's why I really like how Emma Watson expressed it, because she's not in a posture to claim anything on behalf of women. It is not against men, quite the opposite. It's about balance and harmony and having the world our 2 wings fully deployed, our best capabilities expressed to their fullest extent for the benefit of all. The same is true of a company, and as Wilfried has just told us in his opening, it is what our company is aiming for. So let's accelerate on gender diversity, and long live NEO. The best way to accelerate on gender diversity is to share the best practices of the industry, which is exactly what Financi'Elles is about. So I would like now to introduce Agnès Trampomel and Delphine Maisonneuve. Apart from pursuing very successful careers in their own right, Delphine and Agnès have recently accepted to co-head Financi'Elles and to give a new boost to this very important organization in our industry.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Thank you, Jennifer, for this very inspirational speech. Definitely, you will. I think we could use some quotes from what you said, because it really fits with what we were aiming at Financi'Elles. So let us present a little bit about Financi'Elles, and just to assure you how pleased and how proud we are to get you on board of Financi'Elles. Thank you. Thank you. So who are we? Financi'Elles is the first federation of all 11 gender diversity networks in our sector. We have roughly 15 networks, over 50 networks, counting for 11 great major companies, as you can see, great brands of the sector. And we are today, before you joined us, we are more than 10,000 members in our network. So it's really a great federation with a lot of committed women and men joining this initiative. Financi'Elles was created in 2010 on 3 key beliefs, and 2 of them are really related to what you said, Jennifer. First one, gender diversity and gender equality drives performance, and it's the case for the sector, and it's the case of each of our companies. And it's because it means better addressing our customers, and at the same time, it helps attracting and developing 100% of our talents, both men and women. Second key belief, even though our sector is not the worst on gender diversity, and Catherine, our colleague, will give you some information on that, still a collective action of all our companies is by far more efficient than each, or adds in efficiency than each of our companies driving action in our sector. And last but not least, in our sector, in our field, what is not measured doesn't exist. So we felt 5 or 6 years ago that we needed to build key tools to share, to measure our performance on gender diversity, both for the sector and to benchmark ourselves in each of our companies.
Yeah, thank you, Delphine. So now you know our history, you know our missions, and what are we doing? The first achievement is the Observatoire to provide tools and KPIs in order to measure gender diversity. We have 3 tools. The first one is the national survey. Catherine will explain it in a few minutes. We have also a sector-wide benchmark to refute misperception, and we have a financial and ethic and board index. And all of these tools are used by a group of 30 HR people across the sector, sharing their best practice and establish new path toward gender equality. The second achievement is about conference and event to connect and to share best practices. Thank you. Best practices. For example, in July of this year, we organized a great event, the F-Day, at Sciences Po, under the aegis of the Minister for Gender Equality, Marlène Schiappa. We gathered around 400 attendees from gender networks. And it was really a great event because it was great for commitment for our company's team and also a strong visibility for our sector to show that this subject, gender diversity, is really on the subject, and we think about, is it pinkwashing, is it lasting change? So we are discussing and exchanging our vision about that. And the third achievement is Women on Board dinners. It is a great opportunity to showcase women on board and accelerate the move. This dinner is organized every 3 years at Bercy under the aegis of the finance minister. And the latest edition in 2016 was with Emmanuel Macron, great sponsor. So, discussing about sponsor, who helps us? The first one, we are very honored to be sponsored from the beginning by Christine Lagarde, and we are also supported by 4 honorary members, very prominent women in the sector, and we have also 6 partners who help us to run our initiatives. And how we are organized, we set up a structured organization. We have an executive committee every month with 31 women participating in 3 committees: network committee, observatoire committee, and communication. We are also, of course, working on media because it is important to be visible. We have a website, a blog, Twitter account, and we just signed a new media partner with La Tribune. So that's great also for us because La Tribune is really the media for finance. So the great news, the good news is that our sector is pretty best in class. 85% of women and 92% of men think that the sector is just as more favorable or is positive for gender equality. Hopeful figures, but the higher we go in companies structure, the less women in charge. So we know that there is still work to be done. Jennifer has said it too. But we have the comic strip here, and we thought it was a pretty nice comic strip because here it is the man who is aware about Financi'Elles, and we know that Financi'Elles is not a women issue, it is men issue, team issues.
Yes, and I will conclude saying that, again, we are very happy to welcome you on board. You can see that we share the same challenges, we share the same commitment, and we believe that it will be a meaningful and fruitful collaboration between each of our companies, including Hermes. I may say that I'm specifically happy to welcome an insurer. As you've seen, we have a lot of banks, not as many insurers as we would like to, so it's a great pleasure for us to get a great brand as you are.
Thank you very much, Delphine and Agnès, for this comprehensive presentation. We can see now how Financi'Elles is a leverage for its member networks. I'm sure the audience has questions for you, but in the interest of time, I suggest we listen to Catherine first and answer questions afterwards. So Catherine is the chair of Financi'Elles Observatoire and will present us a preview of the survey that Financi'Elles makes periodically, and that is the largest of its kind.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Good evening, everybody. First, let me tell you how delighted I am to welcome Hermes within Financi'Elles and its observatory. As previously said by both by Delphine and Agnès, at Financi'Elles, we are deeply convinced that as long as the topic is not measured, as long as it is not demonstrated or at least illustrated by KPIs, it doesn't exist. That is why we created several KPIs with recognized partners among the markets such as Deloitte or Ethic Boards, as well as the CSA Institute for a national survey that has been conducted since 2011 on a triennial basis. I'm sure we will have the opportunity to share the full results of the edition conducted at the beginning of the year, and that targeted around 100,000 people, managers and executives among the sector. But today I will highlight the key elements of the results. So I'm not used to present these results in English, so please forgive me if I have to refer to my notes. So first, our sector can be proud. As previously shared, our organization are making progress on the topic of gender diversity, and the sector is perceived as favorable to gender diversity, with 85% of women and 92% of men responding positively, which is a stable trend compared to our previous surveys conducted in 2011 and 2014. Another good news and another positive impact of all the actions carried out by our companies is that today gender diversity is more assimilated to efficiency, growth, value creation, long-term vision for 90% of the women and almost 70% of the men. So gender diversity is no longer only an ethical or HR topic, it is also perceived as a business and a performance issue. Coming to the visibility of gender diversity KPIs, it appears that only 26% of women and 33% of men have the information. These answers were very frustrating for our HR teams across our organization, because they work hard on delivering the information around gender policies, actions, and KPIs, but maybe the communication is not at the right level, or at the right moment, or targeting the right population. So this is a key topic we want to address in 2018 with the members of the observatory. And coming to the key topic of fair treatment between women and men. 56% of women feel they are treated equally versus 84% of men. Interesting gap, isn't it? And among the 44% of women feeling treated differently, it is not a surprise to hear that 99% feel they are treated less favorably than men. Among the 16% of men feeling treated differently, 69% feels it is less favorably, that is to say more than 1 man out of 10 respondents. For both women and men, the most critical areas are access to promotion and high-level positions, salary for equivalent positions, and access to regional or international mobility. In previous editions of the survey, the participants were considering agreements and quotas as action likely to boost gender diversity. They do maintain this position in 2017, but they add the evaluation of their hierarchy on their gender diversity objectives. So you see, for almost 50% of women and 33% of men. If we focus on the results for women, the evaluation of management according to gender diversity objectives comes as top 1. Agreements or action plans for professional equality come as top 2. Quotas, targets on recruitment, promotions come as top 3. Whereas the answer for men are slightly different. Network promoting gender diversity and open to men come as top 1. Agreements and action plan come as top 2, and the evaluation of the management line comes as top 3. It is also a topic we will work on with the member of the observatory next year. Coming to gender stereotypes, well, men are not spared, and you can see that over 50% of men think they are also facing gender stereotypes, mainly from their colleagues. and mainly regarding parenthood. Indeed, 32% of men feel that taking a paternity leave is perceived negatively and has a negative impact on their career. Knowing that one man in 10 feel less well treated than women, we need to make sure that gender policies are not perceived as exclusive to women and do not generate frustration for men. And this is also a topic for the observatory. Last, but not least, as a conclusion, let me share an indicator that makes us very happy. More than 9 respondents out of 10 value the fact that their company is a member of Financi'Elles. So I hope that after this brief overview of the results, you're willing to know more about this survey and all the work that is done at the HR Observatory of Financi'Elles. And please feel free to come to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for this interesting preview of the results of this year's Financi'Elles survey. We look forward to having the full presentation. I'm sure there are many questions, but given the fact that Wilfred has to sign the Livre Blanc, I suggest we take only 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you, ladies, for this presentation. It's really interesting to see that we have to onboard men on diversity topics. Really interesting. I'm just wondering how you intend to do this and how do you embark men?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question, and I must say that it's a question that all of our members have been asking themselves throughout the years. When you look at Financi'Elles, when we started the federation, the majority of the networks were pure women networks. And today, what we're seeing is that the new networks that are being created are in majority mixed, both men and women networks. And the mature networks, many of them are considering or jumping into, as you are doing in NEO, mixed men and women. So I think probably one of the key issue or key challenge is to make networks a nice place to discuss between men and women on gender diversity. It must not be somewhere where women discuss about gender diversity. It's somewhere where people of the company discuss gender diversity. So that would be our first belief, I would say. And second, I think it's key that the promoters and men promoters join the network and discuss on what is in it for us, for the company, of course, for the organization, as a manager, as a leader. It's good, as William said, it's really good for the company, but then also for me as a man, what is in it for me? How can I benefit from this gender diversity in the company? And that is probably something that you can address again in the network with the support of the HR people.
Do we have another question?
Thank you. My question is, it's about to have more women in the different management and leadership layers. We need to have women ready to take those positions. So it's a question about the talent pool. And today, it's something that is managed by HR. So my question is, how do you see your interaction and roles and responsibility between the NEO and human resource?
So we work together very closely with Florence and HR. Diversity is a daily issue. It's about recruitment, it's about performance assessments, it's about promotion. So this is the daily job of HR. And we as a diversity network see our role as a facilitator of HR role on this. Especially in the framework of a bottom-up kind of process where we can be the voice of diversity within the organization and facilitate this work. Now, next to the daily job, there's also a need to pause from time to time, whether it's yearly or twice a year, to evaluate the performance. We're in the progress we're making on gender diversity, and so this is something we'll work on together with HR to come up with figures and with a dashboard. I suggest we close the Q&A here, because now comes an important moment. Wilfried will need to sign the Livre Blanc Financi'Elles. The Livre Blanc represents the commitment of all the member companies. So Wilfried, if I may invite you to come and sign the Livre Blanc. So as you see, Wilfried is signing after Christine Lagarde and Emmanuel Macron.
Find the right page.
While Wilfried is signing, I would like to invite the members of the leadership team to come on stage with us for a final picture.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
And a round of applause, please, for our leadership team and the commitment they just made for gender diversity.
Okay, so for those who are curious to know what I wrote, so it's in French. Bravo à Financi'Elles pour son action. Je suis convaincu que la diversité est un facteur qui favorise, qu'est-ce que j'ai écrit, fortement la performance des équipes. C'est pourquoi j'ai engagé avec fermeté Hermes dans cette direction. Merci beaucoup.
So thank you all, and see you at the cocktail outside. Thank you.